Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Ep.7. In the last one we took out White Monkey, did a couple more stages on top of that, and now it's time to go catch another 15 out of 17 monkeys.
In the land of dinosaurs.
Why does that dinosaur have human teeth? Ugh. Yeah, I like that we end with dinosaurs essentially in this one, because this is one of the last few stages in the game. We're not quite at endgame yet, like LP-wise, we're only at about the halfway point. But this is one of the more close to endgame stages, and we're only now at dinosaurs, which that's the first stage in the first game. I guess technically second stage, because there's not really... Well, no, I think there's like a Tyrannosaurus, not a Tyrannosaurus, like a Triceratops somewhere in that stage. Either way. This stage is a little annoying early on because the collision on climbing the dinosaur tails doesn't exactly feel the best. Especially if you're trying to get to that monkey off in the distance from jumping on that one, I think that's a plesiosaur. Some parts of this just, you can tell this is a relatively early PS2 game and collision just isn't all there.
Yep. Those dinosaurs really do not care about what you're doing.
Well, yeah, like, I mean, you own a bird. You know how birds can be. Dinosaurs are just birds before birds.
Land before burp.
Yeah, there's no land before time, only land before burp. I'm now just imagining a remake of that movie, but everyone's one like the bird they evolved into, and I think that's a funnier movie. Or is that essentially what Rio is? I've never seen that movie.
God, did Spectre just, like, set all these dinosaurs up to, like, permanently carry these platforms?
What's the joke from one of the live-action Flintstones movie, or was that a Family Guy parody of it? It's a living.
I think that was actually in the original cartoon.
I think, yeah, you know what, I think you're right. It's been a long time. Growing up, I watched, I think probably more than anything, the Pebbles and Bam Bam and Flintstones kids shows. Because those were on Boomerang and Cartoon Network a good bit in the early 2000s.
I don't care what anyone says. I thought the live-action ones were kind of good.
Oh, the first one with John Goodman's great. The production design especially is amazing.
Yeah, like, it was... Like, they got their assignment and they did it.
The second one with the guy who... Why can't I remember the actor's name? The guy who played Floop in Spy Kids. No, not Paul Rubens, that's Pee-wee. Oh, I'm gonna have to look this guy's name up. It's gonna bother me otherwise. Floop actor. Alan Cumming, that's his name. The one that they did was like a direct-to-DVD or VHS sequel with him as Gazoo, though. Horrifying.
Yeah.
Horrifying movie.
Yeah.
Manco Polo.
But yeah, the casting on that was actually really good. John Goodman was hilarious.
Yeah, and Rick Moranis was Barney, if memory serves, right?
Yep. And it's like
fantastic there.
It was like really good casting. Like, it was like they looked at the characters and they knew exactly what they were doing.
I've heard several people say this over the years, and I think there's genuine meaning to this. Any movie that came out between like the years 1989 and 1999 that was critically panned by critics for being childish has like a 70% chance of being a genuinely fun movie that they were just being sourpusses about.
Yeah. Like, it's a fun movie. It's a fun adaptation of the Flintstones. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Like, I think about movies that fill that particular vein. It's Wild Wild West. Movies of that general quality.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, critics. What's interesting about this point in the game, though, is at this point, it's not really even a difficulty raise anymore. It's more about just what kind of fun situations they can make, like this point where there's a T-Rex chasing you and the 3 monkeys that try to keep it behind a wall, and, well, clearly they never learned from Jurassic Park.
Nope.
Or even the last game, considering... I guess they were riding the dinosaurs in the last game, now that I think about it. So, you know what? No, they got it right this time. they realized, oh... we maybe had it wrong.
Except the T-Rex probably still would have wanted them as a snack, given one of them was named Lunch.
Yeah. Also, this part of the stage is just so visually fun, because we're going to be climbing into each of these trees, and they have, like, entire inner households.
Oh, yeah.
Made out of the wood. Like, come on. This is adorable.
Yeah, it's so cute. Stumpy.
I think my favorite equivalent to that type of joke, though, is the ones you get in the post-Game of 3, getting ahead of ourselves, when you get the final costume unlock.
Oh, yep.
And you just get to access the hidden areas. Oh, that's so fun.
It is very fun. I liked that they added that in.
Notably, though, stage structure-wise, you can get to this part of the stage in 2 ways from the starting point of the stage. I think if you go either underneath the waterfall or something like that, at the start of the stage, you can swim under a thing and find yourself over here first. This is another stage that's just a giant circle.
That's what I like about these games, too, is, like, how the levels can be a giant circle.
There's times it feels better than others, like the Atlantis stage from a part or 2 ago now. I don't like how that one works out with it, but that's just because a lot of that stage is waiting for platforms and slower platforming.
Yeah.
Whereas this, you get to just kind of rush through pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I think my favorite stages in this, I think we talked about this earlier in the LP, are the shorter structure branching path ones, where it's like 3 loop-arounding paths that come back to a central area.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to face the terrors of one of those longer linear stages even later this part, because, well, we're getting towards the end, and they definitely starting to show that in part length. Mm-hmm. Or stage length, rather. Part length, it depends on how I edit it. This stage reminds me of Jak and Daxter, a game I have not touched. Not Jak and Daxter. Wait, no, yes, Jak and Daxter. I was like, wait, Jak and Daxter or Ratchet and Clank? No, I'm thinking of Jak and Daxter. With the early game jungle section.
Funny you bring that up, because I remember seeing Jak and Daxter as a kid. But I was mainly a Ratchet and Clank kid. And it was like, there was like a weird, like among classmates and stuff that played video games as well, there was like a weird, like, well, you have to like one more than the other. So I mostly just stayed with Ratchet and Clank.
Nice job.
Yeah, there was a couple of those growing up. It's like the Pokemon versus Digimon debate, although in the case of Jak and Daxter and Ratchet and Clank, the developers were literally good friends.
Yep.
Time for the bus.
Let's go!
You're late! I'm Red, the leader of the Freaky Five, and I never let nobody ever keep me waiting.
Oh, so it's you! Give Pip and Sheep back!
You'll have to fight me first, you crumb bum.
Crumb
You can have
bum?
him back if you beat me. We already transferred the data into the laser, so we couldn't care less about that pesky Poachy guy anyway.
Are you serious?
Ha 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 ha! You bet I am, and since I'm the leader, I'm super strong. These muscles are more than you can handle, little boy. Oh, I'm just burning up thinking about it. There ain't nothing you can do to put this fire out, pal. Yeah!
He's not entirely lying. Monkey Red, you can't actively damage unless he attacks first and gets himself a little dizzy, usually by doing his spin move that can bounce off the wires in the room. Attack-wise, though, when he's not spinning, he can suplex a goddamn T-Rex! That causes a shockwave as well, jump over that. He'll charge into you and bounce off the ropes a couple of times, but the spin is the move you really need to be careful of, because while if you can use it to hit him, if he hits you during it, either it'll kill you, or he won't become vulnerable. So you need to really try and like stick towards a corner so you can bounce back and forth between the sides of the ropes.
Also, he called us a crumb bum, and so he got us started. He shouldn't have got us started.
Yeah, I mean, come on, look, we got a lightsaber. You gonna mess with someone who has a lightsaber?
You messed with people, Chi. You messed with the family.
I don't know what this character on the ground means, because a lot of games back in the early 2000s usually censored out the Japanese or removed it or replaced it with just some nonsense looking at you for kids. Ape Escape never really hid from its roots in what the culture that came from, and
no.
I love it a lot for that, but it definitely is one of those things where I need to look it up and probably post what it says in editing, because I'm actually very curious at this point, because I never really looked it up before.
Yeah, it is very interesting that they didn't like full on censor or delete any of it. They just kept all the references in.
Yeah, like for the most part, the references this series make are evergreen references that more or less any culture can get, like certain movie references, or they just make adjacent references with like monkey names, like say if they're referencing a very specific Japanese folk tale. With the monkey's position, but it matches something like Little Red Riding Hood or something visually enough, they'll just change the name to that and nothing's really lost.
And we tagged him out.
Huh? Pippachi! Oh, are you hurt? Ew. You're okay. Huh?
This is no time for celebration, young Jimmy. It seems that Spectre kidnapped Pippochi to get the data on humans he needed to finish his lethargy laser. Now that they've input the data, it won't be long before they fire the laser. You must hurry.
Professor, you're blowing your mic out there a little bit compared to normal. What's going on, man?
Wait. If Spectre... Why... But Funky White apparently had data on Jimmy to make that robot, so why did Spectre need to take Pippochi for human data?
I don't know. Like, they really do just take Pippochi away from you at like a moment's notice and then give him back like 5 minutes later.
You're getting closer to Spectre's base. It's going to get harder from now on. Do your best.
And he's not kidding.
Yep. I've been saying for most of this part that we're getting towards the end. We are now within, I think, the last 4 stages of the main game, I want to say?
Jimmy, I'm sending a new gadget. I hope this helps you.
This electromagnet is truly attractive. Learn all about the magic of magnets in the Gadget Trainer. Do you want to go to the Gadget Trainer now?
Oh, this stage. I like parts of this stage.
Here we are with my least favorite gadget in the game. It's a magnet that either pulls things to you, or you to things that can then ferry you to other places. But they use it in a way that's just so slow.
And you still have to spin the analog stick.
I don't have to spin it with this one, you just have to hold it in the direction. But I'm not a fan. I'm really not a fan. Oh, that's right, you can also jump and slam, press the analog sticks down to do a butt slam. I forgot about that. I forget if I showed that off already. Yeah, though, this stage is a bit of a problem.
I like parts of the stage, but it can be such a slog to get through.
Agreed. This stage, I like the concept of it. We're essentially going to be storming a bank. But because of their reliance especially on the new magnet tool and its inherent speed problems, we're going to be doing a lot of very slow platforming in a stage that's already very long to begin with. I think in terms of start to finish, this is one of the longest stages in the game. Not the longest, I think the final stage is that period in the game. but you could be in here for a while.
I do like the music for this stage, though.
Oh yeah, it's so good. I want to say at its longest, this game's stages are still... Well, no matter what, they're longer than Ape Escape 1 stages, because some of the Ape Escape 1 stages were like the equivalent of like one screen wide, essentially. But the last few stages especially are going to start being long enough to the point where I think for at least 2 of them, we do them across 2 parts. At least that's the case, I think, for the final stage, like in Ape Escape 1. But we'll talk more about that in the next several parts. By and large, you know something's magnetic, though, if it has this very reflective sheen to it that definitely looked good in 2002. Nowadays, it looks a bit glossy, I guess, like badly glossed paint. It is one of those effects that probably looked better on a CRT TV rather than a LCD screen.
Yeah, most likely.
If I were to compare, though, there's already a lot of comparisons between Ape Escape 1 and 2 you can do stage design-wise, but this is specifically the direct comparison to the Spectre Tower stage from near the end of the first one. That was like the second or third to last level. Because we're going to be climbing a tower for a good bit of this. Alright, yeah, I looked up. This is the third to last normal level. So we're getting close.
Also, for a bank, this is a very elaborate bank.
I know we've talked a lot about movies in this LP to begin with, but it just reminds me a little bit, and this is going to be a very out-of-pocket reference to the movie Catch That Kid with Kristen Stewart and a lot of other people back when they were like late teens.
Wow, you unlocked a memory for me.
I remember that movie honestly being pretty good, and
I agree.
the kids being an appropriate amount of kiddie. Like they were little mischievous shits for parts of it, like how one of the kids accidentally burned himself on his grill, and as they're trying to get information about the bank heist they want to steal to, I think, help one of the characters' fathers, they use that burn as a "my dad abuses me" kind of thing to get some sympathy, even though it's not the case at all in the movie. Which is kind of messed up in its own regard, but yeah, I get it. But I remember that movie mostly for the scene where they set a spider on fire. To this day, I'm not sure if that was a real spider.
As someone who doesn't like spiders, let them burn.
Let that motherfucker burn.
No, they're very important to the environment.
Yeah, but also get them away from me.
Yeah.
This is what I mean, though, about a lot of the magnet stuff being slow, because either you're waiting for that few seconds for it to magnetize to you, or you have to take the moments to pull it. And it's weird, because doing that feels slow, but say pushing a block in a Zelda game doesn't, and I'm not sure if it's like the disconnect of you not literally grabbing it yourself that makes it feel that way, or if it's that literal extra second of waiting to be magnetized to it that does it. Because that gets into a lot of things with games where why do some things feel weird in others compared to feeling good in some other games? Like why do some exploration elements in the Metroidvania work in games like Metroid or Castlevania, but less so, for me at least, in games like Hollow Knight or other things. And I can't exactly parse it into words, there's just some things that don't feel as good in other settings, I guess.
Yeah, this is not a knock against Hollow Knight at all. From what I played, I actually really enjoyed the game. But it's like, it just feels like, with the design and the setting and everything, it almost feels too much for a Metroidvania.
Yeah, I agree with you on that entirely. Like I've said it before, I love Metroids. Hollow Knight feels too large.
Way too large.
For what it's trying to be, on top of its focus on too many open pathways that you can take at a time as long as you know they're there. Mm-hmm. Like, I recommend, for those who haven't played Hollow Knight or don't care to play it, look up the Game Maker's Toolkit video on the level design for Hollow Knight. A very interesting video, and I think there's a lot of value for what that game does. It just doesn't appeal to me. That's what it comes down to. And I think that's something on the whole that gamers, TM, need to realize to learn how to say.
Yeah.
Because if a game doesn't appeal to you, that doesn't automatically make it bad.
No, of course not. Like, you can have, like, nice things to say about a game, but it's like, you can just be like, it's just not for me.
Yeah, and honestly, in a way, that's how I feel about Ape Escape 2 here. I think it tries to be itself in some cool ways here and there, but a lot of times it just feels derivative of Ape Escape 1 in a way that doesn't feel as good. Like, I brought up this feeling like the stage near the end of Ape Escape 1, and it feels like they were just trying to hit that note again. It's actually one of my favorite uses of the magnet there, where you use it to make a path to the RC car.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Like it does do neat stuff like that, but it's like, I get it. And also, just, like, also to Hollow Knight fans, I am so sorry you guys still haven't got Silk Song yet.
This is going to date this video again, but with the whole Unity shenanigans going on just recently, someone tweeted out, man, Silk Song's on Unity, can't wait for it to be delayed another 5 years. And then they tweeted like 20 minutes later, a developer at Team Cherry liked this and it felt like I got shot with a shotgun.
Yep.
Oh, I hope that comes out soon, but also, oh god, Unity, please. That is something I think is kind of interesting on a game angle nowadays, though, because back in the early 2000s and aimed into mid-2010s, a lot of people were making their own engines that either ate up development resources or otherwise, and often sometimes just didn't work out too well. Like, maybe only one team at a developer will know how to use it really well. Things like Unity and Unreal give a lot of value to developers in that regard, considering that's universal tools they all know how to use, but it feels like some are still hesitant to pick stuff like that up. What I'm really saying here is Unreal 5 remake of Ape Escape 1. Come on. I want to see the ray traced reflections off the people helmets. That is a joke. I think ray tracing negatively impacts performance in a way I don't like, but you know what I mean. This LP's gotta be weird in some regards for people used to this channel, because I'm a lot more loose-lipped than I usually am about stuff.
It's because I'm here.
Yeah.
I take full blame.
I think what this stage does that's kind of cool, though, at least, is they don't keep you in one aesthetic for too long. Like, we were in the outside section, they were in the bank for a little bit, then we were in the sewers, now we're back outside. They do try to keep things visually interesting in stages that go on too long in games like this, by at least giving you little breaks from the aesthetics you've already seen, or giving you new things to interact with. I think 3 especially does a good job with that, considering its final stage, I think, is the longest stage in the main games? But there are times where it just does feel like it drags on.
Yeah, and like I said, does some neat things here and there. But yeah, it's just they could have easily cut it down for like a final-ish level.
And that, to an extent, it does feel like there may be a thing that maybe I notice more on repeat playthroughs, because I'm like, alright, I need to get over there for this monkey, gotta get all the way over there, do that. But on repeat playthroughs, it becomes a lot more obvious. Oh, hey, speaking of things from Ape Escape 1, the tank's back.
Oh, look at the little seat for Pippochi.
I love it. I love the elephant ears, too. The tank, oh, get this, it uses tank controls. You move with the analog sticks, but you actively have to push both forward to move forward, and turning is a combination of not pushing one forward and pushing one backwards and all that jazz. It feels a little awkward at first, but it's a very natural way to control it by the end of it, I feel.
Yeah.
The big thing is attacking with it's a little awkward, because you need to tap in the analog stick for that. And considering you use that for movement, it can be a little awkward because you might just get a little bit of a judder as you fire, and that can make you miss your shot. The really funny thing is you can hit the monkeys with this, and thankfully it only stuns them.
Yep, stuns them like anything else.
Instead of splattering the monkey from here to Kingdom Come.
Yeah. Yeah, in the later terms of that.
Thankfully, you might notice there's a couple of platforms off to the side here and there. If you lose a tank at some point, they will respawn at other points, I believe. On top of that, I want to say some of those might technically be death checkpoints, but I'm not entirely sure about that.
Yeah, possibly. Which is kind of nice, honestly, that they'll respawn if you somehow lose the tank. Because otherwise, you wouldn't be able to continue.
Yeah, because the tanks, at the moment, are the only thing that can actively destroy the caution-marked blocks like that. Down the line, we will have a tool that can do that otherwise, but that's not until after we finish the main final stages. Get off of there! Alright, that marathon of a stage is over. That's a monkey yellow billboard, I'm just noticing. Oh god. Oh, get off the screen!
Oh, the irony that you landed in front of that.
But with that, we're gonna need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 8, we're gonna go do the next major stage, and then see what happens after that. See you guys then.
Bye-bye.